a very interesting video, and who is the final 10-nation Confederacy? I have to admit, I feel, listen, no one knows everything about prophecy, everything about the Bible. No one does. No one knows everything about, and I choose to be as humble as I can because I saw this and I just had to do this video. Why humble? Because I admit that, maybe some of the stuff that I thought I believed maybe may not be. In my journey from being a Catholic to suddenly, deciding to study Scripture, I started to see all the lies in the Vatican and all, just how evil they are. I'll just get to the point. Just how evil they are. How many people died under them? What happened under them was as serious as anything has ever happened on this earth. It rivals World War II for as many people died. Suppression of the Bible. We're talking for 1,000 years. People commonly burned at the stake, all that type of stuff. So on my journey, I started to find the truth first, and I'm not one, and I have nothing against them. Seventh-day Adventists. I found that the prophecies that they believed, and it's not just them who believes it, I found them to be really accurate. And I'm gonna go over some of Daniel 7 and Revelation 17 because they cross-reference each other, but I want to explain some stuff. And when I'm done explaining what I want to tell you, I'm going to play this video because, quite honestly, this is the type of stuff that we should be waiting for. I think it's so close. I think we are getting to this 10 nations that give their power to the beast. It says for 1 hour. But we don't know how long it will take for it to build up, and I don't know what it means by giving it for 1 hour. None of us do. Is it really 1 hour, or is it just symbolic for it's just going to be for a short time type thing? And so before I start, I want to say this. Let me take a break in my voice. I spent a good, almost 2 decades listening to a lot about World War II, World War I, other wars too. But I read a lot. I watched a lot of documentaries. I have a lot of stuff here about World War II, and learning what was happening on continental Europe or Eurasia and Asia and all those places, as the war was building up and everything. The reality of this is that, when we're speaking of the British Empire, the French Empire, the German, they were kind of downgraded from World War I, but they were these nations together. So it's the European Union now, right? And, look at the 12 stars. You see the flag there? There's 12 stars. That matches the woman with the 12 stars, right? In Revelation. You would think that this is it. And so, you might say, well, look at them, they're not together. They look pretty weak. There's a lot of political strife. There's Brexit, all that type of stuff. Before anyone was saying anything about this, I was looking at Europe and saying, all this stuff with Putin and, looking at the Middle East, all these Middle East countries seemingly coming together, quite a huge threat. Russia should really be on our side, right? Naturally, but they aren't. If in World War II, like say Germany joined, say all of Europe joined in one confederacy, they would have been quite powerful. It's no different right now. Let's just consider, what if Czechoslovakia, what if Latvia, all those places, Poland, France, the Netherlands, Belgium, all of the UK. Think of how many people live there. And the reason I can imagine this is because they're threatened by everything that's going on, and everyone's split up about everything, and I could just picture them coming together, because I think that there's a lot of intelligent minds in places like the UK and France and the Netherlands and Germany. There just is, and there always was. There's a lot of ingenuity, and there's nuclear weapons there too, if you speak of France and the UK, enough to destroy this world. So it's a possibility, just because you don't see it. This man here, Emmanuel Macron, is constantly, I'm not going to say constantly, but he said it enough times that he wants to make it. He says it, and you'll see in the video. But I'll get to my next point. So it's possible. The European Union, this could be what they're talking about. But I have a conflict, and I believe Mystery Babylon is the papacy, for reasons I'll explain. And with the 1260 year prophecy, right? For 1260 days, to me is 1260 years. Is it just a coincidence that at the official start of the height of the Roman Empire, I mean the papal empire, was in 598, and it stopped in, forgive me if I get the years wrong, I don't know, it was 578 to 1798. But anyways, it was exactly 1260 years. You can look it up. You can look at the official start and stop when the Pope was arrested by Napoleon's general. And I believe that was the wounded beast right there. It doesn't specifically say that it was going to be a revived Roman Empire. But let's go through. I'm not going to read it all. This is Daniel 7, and we know that, the first beast was like Nebuchadnezzar, then it was Persia, right, and the Medes, and then the leopard was Greece, and then obviously the fourth beast was Rome. And so this is what Daniel says. After this I saw in the night visions, behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible, exceedingly strong. It had huge iron teeth. Well, that sounds like the Roman Empire to me. The first. It was devouring, breaking in pieces, and trampling with the residue with its feet. It was different from all the other beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. This is important. 10 horns. So Revelation says that too. I'll get to that too. I was considering the horns, and there was another horn, a little one, coming up from among them, before whom 3 of the first horns were plucked out by the roots. So this is what I learned off the Seventh-day Adventist, and not just them, it's other people too, and I believe they're correct. When you look at when the papal empire was coming into power, they took out, what was it, the Visigoths. There were three countries, 3 groups that they took out, and those were the ones they plucked out by the roots. You would have to look up the map, but it shows it. It's quite clear what happened. The Ostrogoths, the Visigoths, I can't remember exactly the names, but they're easily searchable. So they were plucked out by the roots. So historically, I can prove it that it did. And there in this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking pompous words. So I'll skip this part because it doesn't have, it's not part of that. I, Daniel, was grieved in my spirit within my body, and the visions of my head troubled me, and I came to one of those who stood by and asked him the truth of all this. So he told me and made known the interpretation of these kings. Those great beasts, which are 4 kings which shall arise out of the earth. But the saints of the Most High shall receive their kingdom and possess their kingdom forever, even forever and ever. Then I wish to know the truth about the 4th beast, which is Rome, right? What came after Greece? It was Rome, which was different from all the others, exceedingly dreadful, with its teeth of iron and its nails of bronze. Like, this is what they used, right, as weapons. That's why they say iron, teeth of iron, because they made a lot of weapons, swords. I think they were starting to use like steel and iron at that point. And I know it was already, it was in David's day, but I don't think people were doing that though at that time, like in mass. Broken, exceedingly dreadful, with teeth of iron and its nails of bronze, which devoured, broke in pieces, and trampled the residue with its feet. 10 horns that were on its head, and the other horn which came up before, which 3 fell. So is that the 3 that fell, namely, that horn which had eyes and a mouth which spoke pompous words, whose appearance was greater than his fellows. So is this is the Antichrist? Or, yes, I was watching, and the same horn was making war against the saints. So this is Satan, or the Antichrist, right? And prevailed against them until the Ancient of Days came, and judgment was made in favor of the saints of the Most High. So it's prevailing against, as he said, the 4th beast shall be a 4th kingdom on earth, which shall be different from all the other kingdoms, and shall okay, so it says devour the whole earth. So at that time, would that be considered the whole earth? Some people would say yes, some people would say no. Before you consider what could be what, before I read the rest of this, I want you to consider this, that when the papacy took over the Vatican Catholic Church, they took over for over 1,000 years. Let's just call it 1,500 years. They completely oppressed and subdued, murdered, burned at the stake 60 million people. That is no small thing. The numbers in this add up, but it also seems to speak of something at the end times too. It makes me think, is this a double fulfillment? So let's read this. The 4th beast shall be a 4th kingdom on earth, which shall be different from all other kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth. So, I don't know. Did it devour the whole earth, Rome? It didn't, right? But listen to this. So trample it and break it in pieces. The 10 horns are 10 kings. who shall arise from this kingdom, and another shall rise after them, and he shall subdue, and he shall be different from the first ones, and shall subdue 3 kings. Like I said, they plucked up 3 kings before their power began in 598. I'm forgetting. Close. He shall speak pompous words against the Most High, shall persecute the saints of the Most High. Check mark for the Vatican, for what they did, and shall intend to change times and laws. That's Constantine. They changed the Sabbath. They moved it from a Saturday to a Sunday, right? They changed God's holy day. They changed time and the law. That was double fulfillment in that. When they moved it, you can't just change God's commandment, like, and that's why I say in my other video, don't get caught up with we don't have to celebrate the Sabbath, because you're going to be incorrect. You can't just take God's commandment and move it. It's fulfilled right there, and that was fulfilled by Rome, the first Roman Empire. And shall intend to change times and laws. So that was fulfilled. If Constantine changing that, the Sabbath day, and putting it to a pagan day, this worshiping the sun, if you don't think that's a big deal to God, I don't think you know enough about Bible prophecy. That's a big hit to God. Then the saints shall be given into his hand for a times and half a time. That's 1260, and that's accounted if you can make that into years. 1260, 1260 years. And like I said, go look when the official date, it's like 578 or something. I usually get that right, to 1798. It's 1260 exactly. That's why I believe it. So there's that, and I'm going to move to Revelation 17, cross-reference this, and play the video and make some commentary. I don't mean to be hard on anyone. When I say, like you're I made a video, go look at the Reformation one, okay? The saying, we are saved by grace through faith alone, right? And it's true. After Martin Luther did that, people started feeling a certain type of freedom from the Roman Empire. And then all these different denominations started going all over the place because of it, because of this new freedom. And Martin Luther didn't mean it as in we had all these new freedoms. It wasn't meant that way. He was just proving a point. And this is where people suddenly think that we can sin all we want. And that's the origin of it. That's the Prometheus of where that began. Nowhere does it say, the Sabbath day is not the law. The Sabbath day is a commandment. Read them. God hallowed that day. God blessed that day. But you're deceived if you think that it's okay to take away a commandment. And just because you don't want to be obedient is the reason why you might want to ignore me, but I'm just trying to tell you the truth. Paul the Apostle says, you hate me because I tell you the truth. So I'm trying to tell you the truth. That was a big deal that Constantine, like these people think that they can change all these things. Look at what the Pope is doing right now. It's no different. They've always moved with the winds of change, clouds without water. That's what, is that John who says that? Or James? But, yeah. What I'm saying is, guys, use your discernment wisely. Like, for sure that beast, it was the papacy. I'm concerned that, like, it is EU. It's looking like it could be. So the meaning of the woman and the beast. So let me see here. Then one of the 7 angels who had 7 bowls came and talked to me, said, "Come, I'll show you the judgment of the great harlot who sits on many waters, with whom the kings of the earth committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth were made drunk with the wine of her fornication." So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sitting on a scarlet beast, which was full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. Excuse me, it's my abdomen. The woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet. God, this matches the papacy right now. Adorned with gold and precious stones and pearls, having in her hand a golden cup full of abominations and the filthiness of her fornication. And on her forehead a name, Mystery Babylon, the mother of harlots, and the abominations of the earth. It certainly could be the papacy, but let's keep reading. I saw the woman drunk with the blood of the saints. Who else on this earth right now, as we're speaking, has the blood of the saints? They killed 60 million people. Why did they kill them? Because they either had a Bible, they were heretics, they were this, they were that, inquisitions. These people were very evil. 1,260 years they did this. And I saw her, I marveled with great amazement. But the angel said to me, "Why do you marvel? I'll tell you the mystery of the woman and the beast that carries her, which has the 7 heads and 10 horns. The beast that you saw," okay, I don't understand this, was and is not, will ascend out of the bottomless pit and go to perdition. And those who dwell on the earth will marvel, whose names are not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they see the beast that was, is not, and yet is. Here's a mind which has wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains, so that points to Rome, on which the woman sits. There are also 7 kings. 5 have fallen, 1 is, and the other has not yet come. I'll have to study that again. I don't know what that is. And when he comes, he must continue a short time. The beast that was and is not is himself also the 8th, and is of the 7th, and is going to perdition. Wow. The 10 horns which you saw are 10 kings who have received no kingdom as yet. So when it says they haven't received as yet, it makes me think there's another. Is this where people are getting the revived Roman Empire? But they receive authority for 1 hour as kings with the beast. Guys, I believe we're so close. You see all the war around us. We know it's not going to stop. So what does that mean for us? That means we're very close. And that eclipse is very soon. Like, they're of one mind, and they give their power and authority to the beast. These will make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb will overcome them. For he is Lord of lords and King of kings. And those who are with him are called, chosen, and faithful. Then he said to me, "The waters which you saw, where the harlot sits, are peoples, multitudes, nations, and tongues." I think that papal power goes all over the earth, so that's why the 10 horns which you saw on the beast, these will hate the harlot, make her desolate and naked, eat her flesh and burn her with fire. For God has put it in their hearts to fulfill his purpose, to be of one mind, and to give their kingdom to the beast until the words are fulfilled. And the woman you saw is that great city which reigns over the kings of the earth. Okay, so in my personal opinion, I think part of this, at least, took place because of the 1260 years. And because of all the things that happened and how it matches it. Like, you know, you think of all the bishops dressed up in their very expensive uniforms throughout all the whatever. They did have golden cups. They did have all those things. But obviously this is open to interpretation for something else, because these ones here are not that same one, have yet to receive a kingdom as of yet. So It's like the promise of something huge. So, be wise, right? Because something's obviously coming. And as long as you keep studying, you keep staying away from as much deception as you can, and just try to watch to see if, in fact, a revived Roman Empire starts to come up. Because I believe the consensus is that it's a revived Roman Empire. The 10 toes, right? The 10 toes in the book of Daniel, and then all of a sudden, part iron, part clay, and then the rock comes out with, it's God, it's Jesus Christ is that rock, and smashes them all to pieces. So let's listen to this video. Very interesting talk. I think at the very end, if I remember, I have time, I wanted to say this. I don't want to make it a separate video. Will God judge people with autism? Because I have autism, and I think it's a very interesting thing. Will he judge me differently than other people? And if I forget to do this, because I'm scatterbrained, man. I'll let you know later. I don't think I'm any better than anyone, but it's a worthwhile topic that you don't see discussed. And I hope people with autism see it too. So let's move on to this.
Bible prophecy calls for a final 10-nation confederacy that will give global authority to the beast who comes from the revived Roman Empire. The Jewish prophet Daniel and the Jewish apostle John in the book of Revelation foretold about this.
So he's saying revived Roman Empire, but I looked scripturally, I don't see anything that says that. So this is just an opinion.
Final 10-nation confederation. Daniel at first calls this union the feet and toes in Daniel 2:41 and the toes of the feet in Daniel chapter 2 verse 42. Hence the 10 toes of the revival of the Roman Empire. Many world leaders in the past, back in the day, have they tried to revive the Roman Empire. Mussolini, Napoleon, Charlemagne, and Adolf Hitler, but all failed. Daniel calls for a final 10 nations, or what he later calls 10 horns in Daniel 7:20-24. Some 500 years later, John the Apostle in the book of Revelation picks up where Daniel left off, and he describes 10 horns in Revelation 12:3, Revelation 13:1, Revelation 17 verses 3, 7, 12, and 16. We believe that the European Union, or EU, is the embryo or the infrastructure for the revival of the Roman Empire. There are 27 member states in the European Union today. All member countries must be member states in the European Union.
See that? I always look in there to see, if they ever match anything like an animal or something. Doesn't that look like a monkey? You can see its feet here and its butt and its tail, or a scorpion.
Union today, all member countries must yield their sovereignty to the EU. The flag of the EU has 12 golden stars with a blue background. Arsene Heights, one of the flag designers of the EU in 1987, revealed that his inspiration was the crown of the 12 stars of the woman of the apocalypse. However, he did not suggest that the finished design held a religious meaning. But this comes right from Revelation chapter 12 verse 1, where it reads, "And there appeared a great wonder in heaven."
you ever see me on here and I go to speak and I do that, it means that I go to speak and I literally like, I don't know, it's like a contraction or something. I can't, it's like completely stopped. Yeah, what was that I was going to say?
Verse 1, where it reads, and there appeared.
So, number one, I would say don't believe what someone who designed something like that says, because take a look at places like CERN, right? You see the destroyer right up there, you know, the Vishnu, right? Why the heck is there Vishnu at CERN right on the spot where the temple to worship Apollo was in Roman times? That type of thing. So don't trust what people say is what I'm saying.
A great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. So it's obvious by admission where the inspiration for the EU flag came from.
12 stars. That matches Revelation. That's no coincidence. So, you know, you would think that would match up. Like this, you can't make this stuff up, right?
The final 10 horns of the revival of the Roman Empire will be a force to reckon with in the upcoming 70th week of Daniel's prophecy, or what we'd say the 7-year tribulation period. In May of 2018, French President Emmanuel Macron called for an EU global military force and called it the 10-nation coalition of the willing. In June of 2012, the Vol Europe website called for 10 countries for a United States of Europe.
How many people could form the European Union power? I think it's like 860 million people. Think of that number. The U.S. is 350 million. Add another 22 million from the border, right? They could have a lot of power if they just. All they would have to do is. I have food in my mouth, guys. Give me a sec. If this is true, this is going to be it, which it looks like it. So yes, I agree. I think it's a double thing. I think they're talking about two different times in those Daniel 7 and Revelation 17. That's what I think. Two different times. Because the 1260 adds up perfectly. And I can't ignore what happened, but again, I'll say that I just imagine how much that the EU will not take the crap from the US, from Russia, from all this. They'll open up their energy stocks or purchasing power, and they'll just say this environmental thing, I don't know. Who knows? But if it's going to be powerful, they're going to have to do something like that.
I don't find this to be a coincidence. This is the early stages of Bible prophecy unfolding before our very eyes. A final 10-nation confederacy. This final 10-nation union will seek to make war with Jesus the Messiah at his second coming. We read in Revelation chapter 17, verse 14, "These shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them. For he is Lord of lords and King of kings, and they that are with him are called and chosen and faithful."
Sorry, guys. That's quite different from "and shall overcome the saints for a time's time and a half a times." And that's a time that I'm talking already happened. That's the papacy. And they changed times and laws. What he's talking about here is something that's going to form very soon.
We also read in the book of Daniel chapter 2 34 and 35, it reads, Thou sawest till that a stone was cut out without hands, which smote the image upon his feet, that were of iron and clay, and brake them to pieces. Then was the iron, the clay, the brass, the silver, and the gold broken to pieces together, and became like the chaff of the summer threshing floors. And the wind carried them away, that no place was found for them. And the stone that smote the image became a great mountain and filled the whole earth. We know that the stone in Daniel 2 is none other than the Lord Jesus at his...
That makes me wonder about, when I read Revelation, when I read, I think it's Isaiah, but it says, those nations that will not come up to like Egypt, they'll be given a plague of no rain. Like this is after the day of the Lord. I often ask myself, how could it be nations? I don't understand the nations that would not come up. Why wouldn't they come up? Right? God's already separated the tares, right? So wouldn't those be good people? I don't know. And when he says the mountain filled the whole earth, it made me wonder, where I live, Canada, when this is all said and done with, am I still going to live here? Or do I go over and travel over to Jerusalem, the New Jerusalem, or, the millennial kingdom type thing? Each to their own, and what they think this could be, because, it says stuff like, I just hope, like, there are some very confusing passages, let's just say. But it's pretty clear that those who believe in Yeshua are the ones who are going to survive. And I wanted to say this because you might say, well, Dave, in another video, you're talking about Revelation 9 and it being Islam and this kind of stuff. That did take place. What I believe is Revelation 9 is pertaining to Islam and what Muhammad and what all the armies did. It's, what does it say? There is Eden in front of them, and behind them desolation. Those already took place. So whatever happens with, on the other side of this, people are saying it's going to be Islam taking over this type of stuff. We'll see, right?
His second.
But it seems to be pointing to a revived Roman Empire.
Coming, who destroys the final 10 toes or 10 horns of that image, and that stone becomes a great mountain filling the whole earth. That is a reference to Jesus' millennial kingdom reign from the holy city of Jerusalem. These events show the rapture of the church must be so close at hand. The revived Roman Empire is alive and well today.
So I don't believe in pre-trib, but obviously we're going to meet Jesus in the clouds when he comes back. The question is, how big is I didn't say that, right? In one spot it says all the nations that don't come up. Are they talking about the millennial kingdom? And so will there still be distinct countries? Because if this mountain fills the whole earth, who knows, right? We'll find out.
And will seek to make war with Jesus at his second coming. And as students of Bible prophecy, we believe the European Union is at least the embryo or the infrastructure for the revival of that Roman Empire.
If you guys only knew how incredibly difficult making these can be sometimes, because you can hear like breathy, and I can't tell you how frustrating that is. From it was just like that, like overnight. That's the way it was. I never got an answer until Like I have weakness in my throat. I did like a, what was it? It was 2 summers ago. They put it like a, I don't know, it's a laryngoscope, something like that. And I could watch it on the screen, and they make me speak certain words and certain strengths and stuff like that. This destroyed my ability to socialize, guys. Like through frustration, right? Through frustration, as Paul says, you build character and all that. I'm going to get to the autism in a second, but I wanted to say this. My back has been so bad. It's actually okay right now. But all you have to do when you have a herniated disc and a pulled back, it's so easy to happen now. I don't have to do much. When I have that, and when I have my legs and all my other stuff, last night, like by the end of my meal, I stand up. Most times I'm okay, but not in the last week. When you already have pain that is equal to terminal cancer pain, that's terminal cancer bone pain in my legs and lower back, and I have other pain disorders of almost the same magnitude in my full body. And anyway, I don't want to go over all those, but 2 nights ago, it was the end of my night, and I like telling you guys this because it does have to do with God, I think. I was in so much pain, like it was going up to my shoulders. I'm getting attacks of trigeminal neuralgia, and I always get occipital neuralgia on the back of my head when I'm dealing with this, because it's traveling in the nerve pathways. I'm standing at my counter, and I'm just thinking of all the things that I still can't do in my life. Like, I'm not going to mention them, but all of a sudden I just started crying. I don't usually cry, but that happens when you try dealing with terminal cancer equivalent pain and not crying. You have to get used to it. And I've had a lot of people say to me over the years, yeah, it's not equal to that. Well, I'll just give you one single article with my spinal disorder disease. I've had people accuse me of saying, no, that can't be possible. Okay. I'm never in comfort, ever. And so I broke down crying the other night, and I wondered, why am I here, God? Why am I here? Is it for these last days? Because sometimes I just don't. What's the point of sitting here in this much pain? And the only thing I have to lean on is Yahweh, and He's good enough. When you're a certain amount of pain, I'm telling you, you start questioning why. Why do you want me in this much pain? Is it the very little views that I get from people watching me? Because a lot of people don't watch me unless I make something that doesn't really glorify anything. Well, I wouldn't exactly say that, but is it something, and I'll use the term chosen one this time, is it something that beams off of me that you want other people to see when I'm out and about, when I'm dealing with people? Are you testing me? What is this? So there is a purpose. And those times, they breed character in you, in me and you. I live a really difficult life, but I don't want to bask over that, I'm not talking about anything else but autism. Level 1 and non-functional. So I'm functional. I guess I would also include people with like Down syndrome and people who are like severely mentally handicapped. I don't think I would include ADHD, not in what I'm classifying. Um, it's a neurodevelopmental disorder, and I have a form of, well, I didn't get it diagnosed, but they said, he said that he believed I had ADHD, so I'm just not even going to bother because I know they're associated with one another. I think God understands. God understands people with autism. Are, some may be more clued into this world and understand, and only God knows to what degree. So there has to be some accountability, right? I do think God will judge people with autism differently because of all the difficulties of understanding, of being in a completely different world that I heard a good analogy, a good comparison that people with autism run on. So if you were to compare a regular human, person to an autistic, people may say, well, something's wrong with the autistic, but the autistic is saying, no, it's you who's something wrong with. We're the honest ones. We're the ones who are more productive than you, and for the most case, that's correct. We run on Mac, and you run on Windows, right? I think the answer is yes. God will judge people like me considering those types of things, and it's not a free pass. It's not a free pass. The autistics who don't know God, it's a really tough call. It's a really tough call. I think God will give possibly some leeway. I mean, we're talking about autism. We're not talking about just like, anxiety and stuff like that. It's a completely different story. My guess is yes, and it's not about a free pass. It's about the things that we face. Thanks for watching this, guys. I thought yeah, I'm speaking in tongues. Yeah, I didn't mean that, but anyways, I hope you found this fascinating. Time's coming close, guys. It is.